Good afternoon, everyone. Steve Georgie here from Allendale's trading floor. It's October 26th. Kind of a quieter day today for grains, but finishing in the red. Corn down about 4 1/4 cents. Beans down 2 3/4, with wheat falling back 9. And actually, wheat was the strongest earlier today, but giving back all of those gains and then some. The interesting thing, though, for the week, corn down about 23 3/4, with beans up 27. So a lot of these spreaders getting a little excited right now as far as beans. Pretty strong close for beans, and it's just over the last several days it's been hard. The beans really haven't broke back at all. So maybe they're trying to get a little momentum, but on the weekly chart it was a little bit better close. We need to watch this week's high, though. If that gets taken out as we move into next week, it might open up the door for some further upside yet for beans, just on the technicals alone. Corn, an area that you got to watch for corn is 732. So we've seen a close now below the trend line, second close below that trend line, and you've got we closed down below that 740 area again for December, but 732 is going to be very significant. That is the last report that we had. That's the low that we had on that day. That day, open interest increased quite a bit. And if we end up taking that out now to the downside, everybody, those 50,000 contracts that open interest jumped and increased are now wrong. So be careful there. That's going to be a very pivotal point for corn. But as far as wheat, we're kind of chopping around, and that's it's moving around very quickly, but a little bit lighter trade for wheat. As far as outside markets, not a lot going on there today. Dollar's up a penny, so not much movement. Crude oil staying unchanged today. But we've had a very violent day or a very violent week for crude oil. We're at 86.05. And so when you look at that for a week and you look at the weekly chart, we're actually unchanged. But we've seen some sharp rallies. We've seen some big declines this week. But closing back to unchanged, I think, is going to keep guys on edge. I do feel, though, as we get closer to the election right now, the trend is still down. The attitude is still negative across the energy markets as a whole, but guys are waiting to see what's going to happen with this big storm that's moving in here this weekend. So it's supposed to be a pretty severe storm hitting the East Coast. That's going to be watched very closely, but some of that, I think, had some effects in the livestock today. So cattle down 25 cents, 125.40. That's after cash cattle trading steady this week at 127. But still some concerns. Guys aren't going to be able to go out and go out to dinner, move around. Guys are going to be staying home. So that has gotten the livestock industry as a whole a little bit concerned about that. But we'll see what happens. This is going to be a pretty severe storm and a lot of expectations out of it. But another negative factor as far as cattle, box beef. Okay, very strong week. We gave some of that back here today. Choice down $1.89, select down 128, so a little bit negative day there as far as box beef. But overall, though, the cattle, the trend is still higher. We're still looking for pullbacks as buying opportunities yet as far as cattle. And the hogs, the December hogs up 75 cents, 78.87, stronger day today. We went down and still held the uptrend for hogs. A lot of guys talking about a seasonal in the hogs where we typically see a decline from this point, but right now, the cash market's been steady, but the futures right now are still hanging on to some support levels, and that's going to be very key. If we're able to take out this week's lows for the December hogs, not only is it taking out the weekly low, but you're also taking out the trend line, and that could get that ball rolling to the downside, so very pivotal point. Keep that in mind as we move into next week. So a lot going on. I want to thank you guys for tuning in here this week. Give us a call with questions that you have, 800-262-7538, or check us out on the web, allendale-inc.com. Hope you guys had a great day today. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next week.